I'm excited to dive into some real-life conundrums and moral dilemmas as I explore the fascinating world of Reddit's I the asshole community, where everyday people share their sometimes cringe-worthy, often thought-provoking stories about themselves. Join me as we dissect these tales and try to figure out whether the storyteller is indeed being unreasonable or if they're just having a bad day. Am I the butthole for defending my boyfriend against my dad? I recently had a baby with my boyfriend of 3 years, Nick. I work as a nurse with crazy hours, and Nick previously worked in a warehouse. When I was pregnant, Nick expressed to me how he wanted to stay at home with the baby, at least for the first couple of years, as his dad was not in his life, and he wants to soak up every moment of our child's life. We both agreed this would be best for our baby. I come from a conservative family, and my parents were first not too pleased that we had a baby before marriage. My dad has made little hints here and there to Nick, asking when is he going to make me an honest woman. When I told them Nick would stay at home with the baby, my dad took his glasses off, wiped his forehead, and shook his head. But he did not say anything further. Recently at a family function, my cousin announced that she is pregnant. Everyone was giving her and her husband congratulations. My dad made a sly remark to them saying, "Talk to Nick here. He's an expert at the baby stuff." The comment was obviously meant to belittle Nick, and my boyfriend just gave a nervous chuckle and nodded. Later in the day, our baby needed a diaper change. I was in the process of getting up to change him when my dad said to us, "Whoa, isn't that Nick's role? You do nothing while my daughter works. You can at least change a diaper while she is with her folks." I had it. I told my dad to stop with his remarks. Nick is an equal partner in our relationship, and he is a wonderful dad who does most of the childcare. I told him just because he did fuck all of the child rearing for me and my siblings, that does not mean all men need to be like him, and he needs to get with the times because this isn't uncommon anymore. Things got awkward and Mom quickly changed the subject to something else. My dad was pretty quiet for the rest of the night. After the event, my dad called me saying I disrespected him in front of our family, and I was out of line. He said I insulted him as a father, and to apologize. I told him I had nothing to apologize for, and I was tired of him picking on Nick. My mom agrees with my father that I was too harsh on my dad. Now let's check out some of the comments on this post. Not the butthole. Your dad is a chauvinist and probably a misogynist too. His attitude needs an adjustment. He will probably never change. You will have to. You need to set boundaries and stay with them. If he steps over, then let him deal with the consequence. I think you should tell your parents that you and them need a little apart time. Discuss with B. And sit down with them and have a discussion. Good luck. Here's the response from OP. It sucks because this is their first grandchild, so they are obsessed and want to see the baby often. Then you have even more power. Tell them to back off. Your dad started this in public and he owes you and BF an apology. Excuse me, he disrespected your husband in front of the family. He insulted you and your husband. You and your husband are owed an apology. Feel free to use that baby as a bargaining tool. Dad wants access. Set some ground rules of what will and will not be tolerated. Not the butthole. Your baby, your rules. If they want to see their grandchild more, then they need to be showing both parents the respect you both deserve. Stick to your guns. It took guts to stand up to your father, and I applaud you. Thank you. It look a lot, as you can see. My dad is the macho type, and we were all afraid of talking back to him growing up. And now for the next story. Am I the butthole? I told my BF he had toilet paper on his butt crack. My BF was about to get in the shower after using the bathroom. I caught a glance at some toilet paper left behind, and laughingly told him to get his toilet paper butt in the shower. It was an innocent tease, and I would have never said anything about it had I known he was self-conscious. But he got very angry and hasn't spoken to me now for several days. He said he is self-conscious about that area, and said he didn't even want me to touch him anymore. Had I known this was such a sensitive thing for him, I never would have said anything about it. Update to add that he is a very hygienic person. It's toilet paper. Sometimes a little bit gets left behind on accident. It's bound to happen. I did apologize immediately, once I realized he was upset. Now let's check out some of the comments on this post. Not the butthole. You're dating a man whose ego and security is about as strong as the toilet paper in his crack. One-ply personality. Elmo o. Elm famo. Lettuce mayo filet, and onion. Wet one-ply. This is why I'm on Reddit. And now for the next story. Am I the butthole for refusing to let my disabled partner in a baking class use her condition to unfairly use me and gain favors from the chef? I, 19 male, recently signed up for a baking class somewhere last month, and the first order of business for the head chef was to group all of us into twos. No one knew the other, so it wasn't easy for people to choose partners, so the chef did a ticket raffle with everyone's name, and I ended up with Tanya, 23 female, as my partner. Tanya has a disability as she is unable to walk due to some complications and she is on a wheelchair. I didn't have no issue looking forward to working with her, and she seemed cool at first. The first few days we just theoretical, nothing much going on, hence I couldn't get to see more of what Tanya was as a course partner. So now we begin on one of our first practical classes. Each class is about 5 hours now, so you know we are together for quite a bit of time. We are given instructions as a whole class, and the set out as a group to respective stations, where work begins, such as mixing ingredients and stuff. Tanya always insisted to divide the work so as to finish faster. She usually took the critical preparations of whatever we were preparing, and she mostly messed it up, meaning our final product was way below the needed standards. She would use her disability in a subtle manner to excuse her messing up the products, saying how it could be tiring to mix stuff in the position she is in, and I should just try to bear with it. So now we are always producing very shit bakes because she refuses to let me have a hand getting the ingredients together, saying she doesn't want to seem like she can't keep up with the class and has something to prove. Out of everyone now, I'm the only one who isn't actually gaining any skills comparing to how expensive the course is, because all I'm essentially doing is cleaning up after her disastrous work and wiping surfaces. The funny thing is our station is just next to where the chef is, and he sees all these shenanigans while doing absolutely nothing. All he does is tell her how she is doing so great for her situation, but she doesn't understand. And this made her delusional on the quality of her work and made her insist on taking up more tasks. I got fed up because I wasn't learning anything, and significant time was passing by, and I wasn't there to waste money. I spoke to the chef about the situation, asking about a separation, and he said it would be wrong to do that, just because of her disability, and it wasn't right to do so. Well, I still insisted despite him ignoring the main issue. He gave in to my request, and now I participate in the class as an individual. Tanya made it seem like I left her alone since she is disabled, and my fellow classmates now look at me like some devil with other coming up to me, telling me my morals aren't right. Only a few agreed with my decision. Am I the butthole? Now let's check out some of the comments on this post. Not the butthole. You're not there to babysit anyone or let your skills and experience take a back seat just because your partner refuses to share the workload properly. Tanya's disability isn't the issue, it's her attitude and the fact that she's using it to avoid accountability while expecting you to pick up the slack. That's not teamwork. You tried to make it work, and even spoke to the chef first, so it's not like you jumped ship without trying. At the end of the day, you're paying for this course to learn, not to watch someone else mess up the basics while the chef turns a blind eye. Here's the response from OP. Thanks. I hope people understand that it wasn't her disability but the issue of me not getting to learn anything because of it. I don't have anything personal against her. You need to speak to the chef again and point out that it is not about the disability, it is the fact she is not letting you participate. Make it about you, not her. What you are experiencing and why you are not building your skills. Is there a higher authority for this than the chef? I would also be tempted to be asking about refunds at this point. You signed up for a cooking class to develop your skills, but you are not able to. I feel like the partnering may have been deliberate to ensure that your partner got a patsy. Also, is the workstation even wheelchair accessible? Tell them anyone is welcome to switch with you if they feel that bad for her. And now for the next story. Am I the butthole for asking my roommate to pay to replace the blender jug after loaning it out without my permission? Okay, maybe I'm an for owning the Vitamix, but I do, and I love it. I returned from visiting family for the holidays, and I noticed the blade of my blender was severely damaged, like wavy with large burrs, and the body had 4 or 5 deep gouge marks in the plastic. I asked her about the damage, and she explained that she hadn't touched the blender, but had lent it out 2 times while I was away. I told her I wish she would have asked before loaning it out, and I suggested she give me money to replace it, $175, which is a ton of money for both of us, and she agreed. Now she's having second thoughts. And doesn't think it's fair? And seems to be hinting that maybe the damage was there before she lent it out, which besides being unprovable, I feel confident that it wasn't like this before I left for the holidays. I fear that this conflict will escalate by nature of her suggesting an unprovable alternate scenario. And at the core, I just don't want her to lend out my valuables without asking. Additionally, this isn't the first thing she has damaged or broken or lost of mine. But it is the first time I have ever asked for her to replace something. This situation just kind of crossed a threshold for me, and I truly felt resolve when she took accountability and agreed to replace the damaged one. Now that she is revealing second thoughts, I feel really confused and sad and hypervigilant and insecure in my home. Now let's check out some of the comments on this post. Not the butthole. Assuming her story is true, she waited until you left to lend it out because she knew you wouldn't agree with, basically theft. I would suspect though that her story is BS, and she just damaged the blender herself, probably through stupidity, sticking something really dumb in there, and was too embarrassed to admit it. Because who lends out someone else's blender? Even as an asshole, that just sounds so random to lend someone else's blender. Here's the response from OP. Your last line got me. Thank you for the little laugh. Ask to borrow her laptop and toss it out the window. Then say it was scratched already when you gave it to me. Same fucking energy. Correction, don't ask. Also say you left it out for 2 days. Not sure what happened. You know how that goes? Just like she did. And now for the next story. Am I the butthole for birding on my lunch break? I work in an office and have an hour-long lunch break. I don't have lunch because I do OMAD dinners. It's fasting while having 1 meal a day. I'm also a birder, and there's a park full of birds right outside my office. So come lunch break, and I take my binoculars and go bird watching in the park. Coworker sees me, tells my boss. Now I'm in the wrong because I could have spent the time productively. And I'm apparently making the company look bad, because other office workers may identify me while they cross the park after lunch. My reasoning is that it's my time, and I get to do what I want. Also, I barely have time in sunlight to bird after work. On weekends I have to do training to succeed at said job. When am I supposed to live a little? TLDR. I bird on lunch break, which enraged my boss. Now let's check out some of the comments on this post. You can do whatever you want on your break, and no one can tell you otherwise. I don't care if you dressed up as the Hamburglar and Crip, walked around the park for an hour. It's your break that you are entitled to. Imaging the Hamburglar, singing da-da-da-da. It's the M-thing D-R-E. Hamburglar is singing, I like big buns and I cannot lie. Nah, Hamburglar all about beefing with everybody. Everybody in the club getting beefy. Hamburglar. I need OP to cosplay this when they go birding on lunch, and post the selfie in an update lol. I need someone with better technology skills than I possess to create this dash tip, please. Like and subscribe for more awesome daily Reddit content. And don't forget to hit the bell to get notified when I upload new videos.